Hi, I'm Davy Ward Erickson.
And I'm Elena Salks.
And you are listening to Sex is Medicine, your number one resource for holistic sex education. Elena and I are bringing you over 27 years of combined expertise in the field of holistic sexual wellness to help you integrate your body, mind, spirit, and sex.
New episodes drop every Thursday morning, so make sure to like and subscribe on all your favorite listening platforms. And make sure you follow Holistic Sexology Institute on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube for your daily dose of Sex is Medicine. Now let's get started.
Hello and welcome back to Sex is Medicine, your number one resource for sexual rebels and spiritual warriors. I am your host, Miss Davy Ward Erickson.
And I am Elena Salks.
Our lovely Elena Salks. So happy to have you here with me today. And we are so delighted that you are here listening to us. So once again, at the beginning of every episode, I really want to shout out all of you listeners because you are the reason we are here. And Elena and I are so grateful, again, to get your comments, to get your questions, to get your input. It really means a lot to us. We're not just blowing smoke up your ass. Like, it really fills our hearts with joy and inspires us to continue bringing you these episodes. So I also want to mention that this is one of our last episodes for season 1. Woo! But we will be back with season 2 in February of 2026. And it's because of you. It's because you're letting us know that you're loving this medicine. And we are here to deliver it to you if you want to continue taking it. So thank you again for being here. Make sure you like and subscribe to this podcast on all your favorite listening platforms. And I also, before we dive into our episode today, I want to remind all of you who are interested in being credentialed in the field of sexology that there's a few more weeks of our early registration deadline. So early registration for our holistic sexology certification program ends December 31st. We are the only government accredited school in North America, at least I believe the world, but I'll say North America for sure. And between now and December 31st, if you get us your application, you can save $2,000 on your tuition. So if you are considering moving forward with a certification or a degree in sexology in 2026, please make sure you check out our certification program. Again, it's the only government accredited program online for holistic sexology certification. That's holisticsexologyinstitute.com. Okay, that's my spiel. And so today I am honored to introduce our beautiful guests who are also graduates of our Tibetan 5-element Tantra certification program. They are some of the shining stars of that program. And I am honored to call them friends, as well as colleagues, as well as students. And we wanted to do this episode with you this evening or this afternoon, whenever you're listening, to correct the record, to set the record straight, because I effed up. I presented information out of ignorance, and I want to correct the record. And so a few months ago, y'all may remember that we did an episode on our Tantra Talks experiment. That was our little warm up for Sex is Medicine. Had to warm up and stretch out and make sure we still had our podcasting vibes going on. But in our Tantra Talks episode, we did an episode with Lama Tashi about ayahuasca. And so, to be fair, we recorded this episode in like March or April of 2025, and we recorded it from the perspective of ignorance. I'm just going to say ignorance, because Lama Tashi is from Kauai, and I, was living on Kauai as well. And on Kauai, there is a lot of New Age vibes. Bless their hearts. It's a wonderful place for New Age people. If you want a New Age Mecca, go to Kauai, Hawaii. And also mixed in with that New Age vibe is a lot of ayahuasca use. There's a lot of psychedelic use, because psychedelics are like the new thing. I don't know who Joe Rogan or whoever it is promoting psychedelics, but it's a thing, right? So like modern mainstream people want to tap into this ancient indigenous wisdom. And as is typical of, capitalistic wellness culture, folks who tap into that are not always or necessarily doing it for the right reasons, or with the appropriate authority, or with integrity. And so my exposure and Lama Tashi's exposure to ayahuasca on Kauai was freaking devastating, to be fair. Like I cleaned houses for, I had a house cleaning business as well as a sacred erotic dance business on Kauai, woman of many trades. And I cleaned houses for a few people that would have ayahuasca ceremonies at on their land at their home. And the freaking horror stories. Like when I would come to work Monday morning, like their pets had been ripped apart by packs of wild dogs, and like people went mentally like crazy and had to go to the insane asylum on the island. Like it was just fucking chaos. It was like crazy town. And that was my impression of ayahuasca. Like I didn't want to have shit to do with it. I was like, I don't know what these crazy ass white people are doing with this ayahuasca on my speech, but I'm like, people's dogs are dying, cats are getting ripped apart. Like seriously, like one of their cat's legs got ripped apart after a ceremony. I was like, I don't know what kind of spirit medicine y'all are fucking with, but I don't want no part of it. Yeah, it was your faces. It was.
I'm like just
You guys are
horrified. I
watching
don't
the
have
video,
any
Piper and Don. They're horrified, right? So I just
horrified.
like that is where that episode with Lamatashi came from. And the same thing, like Lamatashi, like he had students that would do ayahuasca and they were never the same, and in not in a good way, right? So our experience with ayahuasca was, quite frankly, like my judgment and perception of it was another, kind of capitalistic wellness superficial bullshit thing that people would take and it would fuck them up. Like that was my impression of ayahuasca. So when we did that episode, that's what came through. Like it's fucked up. And Mama Tashi's all like, there's fentanyl in it, which is so not true. And just like crazy town shit, right?
The one that set us on edge on
It's crazy town. So after that episode aired, Piper called me and she was like, she was mortified but horrified. It's like, what the fuck did I just listen to? Because Piper had actually had spent some time with me, actually like letting me know after we had recorded this, letting me know like this is what ayahuasca actually is, and it completely changed my worldview around ayahuasca. To be fair, Piper, that conversation with you like completely changed my worldview about ayahuasca. I feel like I finally understood. Oh, that's what this thing is, right? And then the episode came out, and you were like, "What happened?"
Yeah. I was like, wait, just what did we do? Where did I go wrong?
So I wanted to correct the record. So I invited Piper. So I haven't even introduced you all. So this is the beautiful queen on my left is Piper, and then the beautiful queen to her right is Dawn, and they are BFFs, and they'll tell you more about their like journey together and their training in ayahuasca. But we invited them on to Sexist Medicine because again, I want to correct the record. I want to set the record straight because I didn't want to leave it out there that this shit was just fucked up and like had fentanyl in it because that's just not true. I wanted to have leadership. Y'all are leaders in this work. It's certainly in comparison to most of us. You have leadership and you have training and you have integrity and you have authority. And so I wanted our audience to have an opportunity to receive wisdom around the proper and ethical use of ayahuasca from two people who I respect incredibly.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for being willing to join us here and set the record straight and not just like, like writing me off forever because of my ignorance. But I hope you understand where it came from. Like, I guess it was like traumatizing to a degree, or vicarious trauma to walk into someone's property and their animals have been ripped to shreds after an ayahuasca ceremony. I'm like, this shit is crazy.
Yeah, your willingness to even listen to what I have to say after having that kind of lived experience is a testament to just what you've done to stay open, honestly, because I had no idea until I heard the recording that you'd had that type of experience with, all of the things that you shared with me afterwards about the things that you guys saw. I was like, oh, that's terrible. No wonder, right? You came to this conclusion.
Yeah.
And so this is a great opportunity.
Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. So what are some of the things that stood out for you in that episode that we shared? Because again, I want to correct the record. So for you, as you are practitioners, well, why don't we back up, circle back? Why don't we start with your expertise in this area? So if you'd be willing to share a little bit about your journey with ayahuasca, how you came to it, and then your journey of integrating this medicine into your lives.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. And thank you for the beautiful introduction. And thank you for your openness to have us here today. And thank you. It's really lovely to be here. Really, in 2019, like I don't know how much time, or I'll try to condense it. Um, I had been working with plant medicine, and I wound up traveling to Peru. I got a call to travel to Peru and to sit in the sacred, area with the sacred medicine, with the people who serve this medicine. It was very direct. And I did. I traveled, and I traveled to Peru, and I sat there, and I met a teacher. And the shift and the holding and the understanding of inside outside same, of the availability of what is physically possible in sensation and feeling, in the connection body spirit mind, was so profound for me in that experience. And um, it shifted my availability to move within the world, plus the just gratitude to be able to have safely, like from how you speak, partake in this medicine in where it originates, was such a gift, right? So I've been very fortunate to be able to be in sacred spaces with tribes, different indigenous tribes, and actually study with them and have ceremonies led with them. So somehow I've just been guided in that. And then that, honestly, I had been looking for Tantra. It's really interesting. I had been looking for Tantra for years, and nothing lined up, nothing lined up, nothing lined up. And a month after I did that ceremony, I saw your program. And it all, I mean, I have the chills now. It like all fell into line. The integrity, the lineage based, like that's all, it carries through, right? We honor the who's come before us, and the availability of the gifts of receiving medicine, right? Tantra is medicine, ayahuasca is medicine, right? Plant medicine is medicine. And so then I started this path with the Institute, and through the wisdom's awakenings and the learnings of the healing with the tantric work and the energetic work, it started to unfold as same, right? And so in my continued explorations, like I was in service to ayahuasca while I was in training, I basically had the gift really of being utilizing all of our methodologies, all of your methodologies in the tantric lineage over the last 5 years in all of my plant medicine, but specifically ayahuasca ceremonies, as integration, as learning, as coming together, right? And so, right? So one of the things, this is kind of a left turn, but one of the things that really stood out for me was this piece um, in the episode that you did with Lamatashi around like the opening of the spirit world and the fear and the demonology and the not being able to hold the container. And, through tantric practice, through the 5 elements and deity yoga practice, I was really able to clear and hold and understand and respect. And through grandmother, sovereignty is also brought forward, right? What's coming in? How is it coming in? What are you saying yes to? What are you saying no to, right? And so this beautiful blending of the availability of spirit through body and the connection just kept deepening and deepening and deepening. So while there are shadow, right, that can come forward in ayahuasca, which is another reason why it's really important to make sure who's holding that container for you. So I did agree with that, right? Doing your research, understanding what is their training, where does their permission come from, what is their skill set in navigating travel and shadow, right? Which is really us meeting us, which is really what ayahuasca does, right? We can get all expanded, but the truth of it is know thyself, right? It peels back the layers energetically of what's possible,
Mhm.
right? So that you can find the compassion within yourself. So I feel like I hit the jackpot in life, actually, really, because then, right, through all of the tantric practices and the meditations, weaving those in, and the actual physical um, practices to clear, while also having the larger experiences with ayahuasca, it got to a point where it was same, same.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. It seems like, pardon me. It seems like doing ayahuasca on its own is going to give you a certain experience, but in between your ayahuasca journeys, to be doing that, what is that, dissolution and dismantling and and like clearing the pathways, clearing the channels, clearing the psyche, transforming those demons into realization. Like, so that then when you come into the ayahuasca ceremony or ayahuasca experience, it's going to have that much more potency and depth.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that carries through. I know we're specifically speaking about ayahuasca here, but it carries through all the plant medicines,
Yeah.
all
Mhm.
the
Oh
all the
yeah.
medicines that you work with, because it is inside outside same. You're dealing with plants. They're intelligent. They're
Yeah.
sentient beings, and so it's this cultivating a relationship with the plants the same way that we cultivate a relationship here. It's the same thing. I mean, she is the jungle,
Yep.
right? I mean, and so to be able to go to Peru and sit with these tribes in the jungle, and having the snakes and the jaguars and the hummingbirds and these things come and speak, and then you got to know how to integrate that. And this is where the container holder is really important, is who's there holding that, so that when you meet those places in yourself, because it can be very dismantling, it could be very scary, and absolutely your shadow, because it's right there
Mhm.
and you want to look away. And these practices, the tantra practices, help you stay present with it all.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, and particularly the elemental practices, right? Because they
oh,
help
1000%, that's
heal
where
and restore our relationship to our elemental environment. And as you're speaking, that's the thing that stands out to me so much. Like talking about sitting, taking medicine and sitting in community with indigenous tribes. Like something that's really impacted me since moving to Costa Rica and living in the jungle is how fractured our relationship to our environment is in Western society. We have no relationship left because it's all covered with cement and
yeah,
steel and glass. But when
yeah,
you actually come back to the jungle and start repairing our relationship with our environment, like it's a profound transformation of our psyche. Like I'm going through some shit, in a good way, but it's like a profound transformation. So to sit and take medicine with people who never lost that connection, who
That.
never lost that connection is part of our lineage as
Yes.
yeah,
humans. That's part of the wisdom that's passed through generationally, like through each generation, is that embodied wisdom of how to be in relationship with our world, with our environment, right? And to be able to be in community with people who have never been divorced from that, who don't
Yeah.
have
yeah,
the trauma of the severing of that relationship. I think
Yes.
that's part of the medicine, right? And so that makes so
that
much
Yes.
is the
sense why like
medicine.
white wellness culture has bastardized ayahuasca, because white wellness culture is divorced. Capitalistic culture is
Yeah.
divorced from our relationship with our environment. We're destroying our environment in the name of
Mhm.
capitalism as
Yeah.
opposed to cultivating relationship with it, right? So that's why it makes sense to me why capitalistic culture and Iowa don't mix. So sorry, that's my rant.
Yeah,
No, yeah, and it'll turn it around. I think the remembering also the grace of the tribes, the
Yeah.
absolute grace of the tribes that are willing to have you come
Mhm.
and come in and hold, especially if you're white bodied,
Mhm.
right? Because they've experienced their own colonization, they're losing their own homeland, and yet still, right, the offering to sit and hold and heal, like
Mhm.
what greater grace could you receive,
Yeah. But
really?
helping us remember our own humanity is what it sounds like. They're like, please, y'all, remember your
Please,
humanity before you
please.
kill us all.
And please don't cut down more of
of our
our home,
trees. Yeah,
right? Like, can we support that? And so, hearing that, they're having there's ceremony and there's chaos, well, that makes sense,
Yeah.
right? Like it makes sense if there's chaos, and that's why it's so imperative that people do their research and try to even check their own colonized minds when they're looking for what they're looking for. You know, if you're sitting in a warehouse somewhere in a city and somebody just says come to an ayahuasca ceremony, you might want to think twice about that,
Mm.
you know. And maybe you don't. It's people's lessons to learn. For me, I have been very graced to sit with multiple tribes and holders of different lineages, and so I'm lucky, you know, I'm lucky, but that's available, and then you can directly work with them, right? Not a handler, you know.
Yeah. So it sounds like what you like. So one of the key things is the container
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
ayahuasca and really examining who those container holders are. So I would imagine that the folks, you know, that you would say that you would encourage people to go to a ceremony or participate would be people who actually have lineage sanction or lineage permission or actually trained that didn't like, I don't know, are there like weekend ayahuasca certifications? Like, I think there probably are, right?
I probably, but that is not something that is not how we were introduced to the medicine, and it is not how we would ever, because we understand the importance of lineage and we understand the importance of decolonization and we understand that that's not how it should be done. So um, it has been a slow, steady walk of sitting at the feet of these people and just listening and learning and being present as often as we can to hear what's being taught and said and open to that, and then taking that back and incorporating that into our own lived experiences, and then moving through the world, right? We are always saying, you know, we are the medicine, and we are living and breathing this way. And so what I glean or what comes to me, the wisdoms that arise when I'm sitting in ceremony, as I'm integrating that, then it needs to be indicative of how I then move through the world afterwards. If that's not in alignment, then I'm doing something, you know, we're doing something wrong.
So what do you have to go through in order to serve medicine? Because I think that's maybe one of the key things because I don't really understand how ayahuasca works, right? I just see like social media stuff, but and I, you know, get invitations from people who are like, "Oh, come drink ayahuasca with me." And I'm like, "No."
It's
But
years.
like to
It's years.
serve medicine, like what do you have to go through to do this with integrity, I guess is the question. In order to serve this with integrity, what do you actually have to go through?
Years of training, preferably in the jungle with a tribe who you can sit and spend time with. It's a back and forth, right? People come back and forth to Europe or the States, wherever they're, to spend time in Peru or Colombia or Brazil to sit with these because they're different tribes and depend on the lineage that you're called to and who you want to work with. But people come and they sit for weeks at a time and then they go back and forth. If you're fortunate enough, um, some people come and sit and can stay for an extended period of time to live with the tribe. There's a wonderful documentary on YouTube. It's called Cuarendera, and it is the story of a woman who talks about living in New York and sort of being attached, distanced from her lineage, and then sort of coming back. And so she brought herself to the jungle and lives in the jungle and stayed with a maestro, someone who is a master in these medicines and in plant medicines, you know, the medicines that are available in the jungle, um, and sat with them for however long until, you know, in the jungle, Davy, like you talk about walking around in the jungle in the dark, learning the plants, taking the medicine, being alone with the medicine. I think it depends on who you're training under, how that's going to look. But just know that each tribe has its path and it takes as long as it takes. And for some people, depending on their connection, maybe it takes, you know, a year or two, and others, it could be a decade.
Or more,
Yeah,
Mhm.
it just
you know.
really depends on the individual and who they're training.
And
They're
also
training with.
what's coming up for you along the way
Yeah.
and how you're integrating that and what may or may not rupture along the way and what wisdoms arise along the way and how you learn to stay humble and follow the medicine in the past and then stay in integrity. You know, there are I think if you're looking to work with this medicine, at least in the States, if you find a teacher, you really want to track, have they been initiated by a particular tribe? Do they hold a name, right? Do they have permission? Right, like our teachers have been initiated
into
into
the
a
tribe
tribe, and they
giving
have been
tribal
given
names.
tribal names and tribal permissions. They've been given permission to teach the chanting. The chanting, similarly to our chanting, syllable by syllable, is calling on and working with the energetics of the spirits of the medicine. So you need permission, right? We don't 111,000 times 111 times, right? You need the practice, so it takes as long as it takes. I don't think there's a linear path.
No.
I've been in service to this medicine since 2020, so I'm coming into my 6th year, and I'm paused, right? I'm in pause for alignment. And Santo Daime is a particular, you can sit in Santo, from what I understand, you can sit in the Santo Daime line. They won't even let you wash a cup for 7 years. Cup that the medicine is served in. Right. So this is not I went to a course for 12 weeks and now come sit in my living room and let's do this. And, that's kind of what I'm hoping is getting gleaned, and the opportunity to have this conversation, right? Like, so people can be educated on what they're looking for. And there's people doing good work in this medicine. There are, you can find them, but just check, follow lineage, stay in honor, stay in alignment, follow the medicine, and also, well, honestly, look at the money. Right? Like, ask
Where
questions. What is the nonprofit that's attached to this? What's going toward the tribes? How are they being supportive? How are they being helped grown for the reciprocity in the grace of their teachings?
And is that up front? When we're sitting with the groups who have permission by the tribe, it's like, this money's going, they'll say this amount of allotted money from this gathering is going to the tribe. And here's what it's going. There'll be jewelry and things there. All of these proceeds are going to go back to the tribe. This is going, and that's important so that the people who are attending also understand that we are trying to be in integrity as much as possible, and that so they can follow the money too and know that it's going to go back to the tribe, and nobody's pocketing it. Nobody's making, if you're doing this right, you're not making any money. Like you are doing this because you are called to this. And I want to be clear and to know what you're being called to. Dawn has been called to serve this medicine. I, on the other hand, have only been called to be in service to the medicine. So those are two different paths, and so I know that at least right now, there are different ways you can be in service to the medicine, and guardian is one of those pathways, which is you are typically on a little bit of medicine as opposed to the dosage that maybe a participant is on, because you want to be in the energy stream. But you also want to be able to function and support people. And so the function of a guardian is to support the people who are serving the medicine. And you've got a group of people, and if people get stuck, they get scared, they need a little assistance in moving. There's a medicine that works with ayahuasca called hape, that it can be used independently by itself, but traditionally it's used with the tribes in ayahuasca ceremonies. But it can help you shift your experience in the medicine and get unstuck. They're just, so as a guardian, you are there to pay attention to the stream, to pay attention to to track the folks in the circle. You sit in a circle and you're watching to see how people are responding to the medicine, and if you're paying attention, to get up and to support them when needed, and to wash the cups, and to all of the things that need doing in the practical sense. Sometimes it's cleaning up sick, purging and stuff, and sometimes it's just kind of being present with somebody while they're having it. Really is just and knowing what's being asked of you, and that requires a kind of presence in the medicine that is holy.
And something that's standing out for me in your description, particularly of like how up front, the folks are like, where's the money going, and the money being, given to the tribes. Like to me, it sounds like a way of cultivating community, right? So it's like it's a communal thing. The taking of ayahuasca is a communal experience. And then, the collecting the resources and the funds to give back to the tribe, it's a way of keeping the tribe, weaving community with the tribe, and these, the people in North America taking it, and these people in South America who it originated from. It's bridging a gap. It's having a community of beings who are attuning to this profound realization through this medicine. But the community is a real big part of it. And it's like real, true, rooted community, not the community that we see on Instagram and, the shiny whatever, again, wellness culture community, but actual, like, real human community. Like, that's the goal and that's the focus, if that
Yeah,
makes
and this is
sense.
where the decolonizing comes in,
Yeah.
because this is
Yes.
where you can't cultivate that kind of communal type relationships if you're not aware of what you bring to the experience, and because
Yes.
real harm is caused in circles where people are unaware of of what I'm looking for, of experiences that can come up. You have people of their own different lineages, who are coming in. As a Black woman coming in, and my ancestors come through, and it looks very, 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 very different than it does for white-bodied beings.
Yep.
And so, and if the white-bodied beings sitting in that space are aware enough of their own biases, anti-Blackness, whatever, they can and do cause harm. They want you to not be that way. They want you to, there are asks of people to show up and be different. But that's not the ayahuasca brings what it brings. And you meet yourself where you meet yourself. And if people don't feel safe and aren't allowed to have the full expression, the full experience, because you have other people who are policing that because of their own colonization and they're completely unaware of it,
It can cause
it can
harm.
cause harm. And to the
Yeah.
point, to your episode with Lamatashi, in the places where people do real harm because they don't understand the power of this medicine. As you well know with the Tantra, when people don't understand and you do not respect the power of the energetics of this medicine, you are going to hurt yourself or potentially other folks.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's a very, you were not wrong. That is a very, very, very real. And your experience is evidence of people who have come to this thinking, because people do, they think, oh, I can just have this ayahuasca experience. It's amazing and it's all the things. But the heavy lifting is done after. It's just an experience. It is an
Mhm.
experience. What you do with that experience, how you integrate that experience. Do you integrate that experience? Because if you don't, it's going to fade. You're going to keep going back to your old habits, and you're going to chase. Then that becomes another thing that you're chasing. And then it becomes an addict, right? People are like, they're chasing that experience, not
Hi.
understanding that the medicine is to be able to integrate the experience so that you can make real shifts in your 3D vision.
Yeah, and that this brings to mind for me in the tantric tradition, um, the Shangpa Kagyu lineage, and the stuff that I heard through story from the Lama and the people that I studied with in terms of samaya substances being used with tantra. So samaya substances are substances that alter our consciousness, and it can be as simple as, like, alcohol,
Okay.
but cannabis, mushrooms, ayahuasca would be a samaya substance, and how traditionally they were used to open a gateway, right? To
Yeah.
open a portal. But
Yeah.
then it's to kind of like expand the view, right? But then it's your practice that carries you through the portal. Like the
Yes.
plant spirit medicine can open the portal, but in order to walk through it and continue to the other side, it's your practice that carries you through and ongoing. So yeah, so the fusion of lineage-based tantra with plant spirit medicine. I mean, from inception, I think I was reading an article about how they think like marijuana came from the Tibetan steppes or something like that, like the Tibetan plains, like it's been part and integral to that, human
It,
experience.
that is my medicine. I mean, that is what I have
Yeah.
used. It when I was, it was so supportive in my own practices when I was, oh Lord, the sexual tantra practices, when I was doing all the mudras and just trying to get my shit together as I was unraveling in my yoni mapping and all of the places um, where I could use cannabis to help me meet for me, it has been just a meeting of myself and not abandoning myself,
Oh
because
no. Yeah.
it cannabis brings me to that space where I'm like, oh no, and then I want to turn and run. And so I have found this beautiful place where I have a sweet spot of where cannabis, and then I'm able to meet the practices, and I'm able to stay really present, and it's just helped me. And then I can make a shift, right? Then that's
Mm-hmm.
integrated, and I have
Mm-hmm.
that, and it's understanding. But again, it's not like, oh, I'm just blazing a fatty or rolling a spliff, right? This is, I sit with the medicine, I have a conversation with the medicine, I ask permission, I set an intention, I imbibe, and I say, this is what we're doing. Can you support me in this?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And she whispers, of course, daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And then we sit. And so there's a right relationship to this. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm cannabis is such an abused medicine. And I'm such like like a fighter for her. And I'm like, she's the most disrespected and overused medicine in a way that um, I just find it, hurts my heart,
Mm-hmm.
because it has been such an integral part of my, my whole process.
Yeah.
And again, the weaving and seeing, it just shows me, the tantra shows me, the wisdoms arise and they show me the sameness of both. And oh, here's we can show up, and oh, you're opening here in the heart space. Great. That's the mother space. Let's do a little space. Let's show you how you could hold that open. Let's show you where your voice needs, all of it just, you're set. Are you kidding me? Like, here's where you're stuck. Here's where, yeah. So that's been my lived experience. And grandmother is the expansion of that again, that the tantra just helps you
Yeah.
in integral.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what Tantra is designed for, right?
Yes.
Like I've often thought, like, I don't think we in modern society can even really truly conceive of like the roots of Tantra, like the
Oh,
primal,
yeah.
like musky, stanky, like human of it, Like this is like
Yeah.
we're talking like and the roots of Tantra trace back to like 10,000 years ago, if not more, right? And like we can't even I can't conceive of life 100 years ago in terms of relationship to the elements. Like 100 years ago, our relationship to the elements was so much more profound than it is now. But imagine, like 2, 5, 10,000 years ago, and like just like the stuff that has been again colonized out of us and conditioned out of us, the humanity that we have lost touch with as a result of where we are today. And so for me, that has been such a so profound in terms of the five element practices in truly healing my relationship, not just with the elemental energies in my body, but how I relate to the elements externally, which
Yes.
Lamatashi always called our life support system. The elements are our life support system, y'all. Like if they're when they're not functioning, we don't live. Like
Right.
Jamaica is a perfect example. That just happened as a recent example. Like when the elements, when they come through and all their fury, I mean, they'll take us out. They'll wipe us out as humans, and they demand and command respect, right? So our culture is so disassociated, period, but particularly disassociated from our natural environment. And so these plant spirit medicines are like kind of like an invitation to come home to ourselves when they're used appropriately, come back home to our humanity. And interestingly for me, talking about cannabis, like I couldn't touch cannabis until Tantra. Like because my wounds were so overwhelming that the minute I took a puff, and I had no tools to deal with them, the minute I took a puff, I was overwhelmed with my own trauma. So
That
cannabis was never fun for me. It was always like I
same.
didn't like hang out and smoke joints at parties because I would be fucked up in the corner crying, like coming apart at the seams.
That was me. And it wasn't until Tantra that I was able to finally sit with myself
Yeah.
that is the same. Dawn knows you know, I was the same. Like
Yeah,
it just would undo me. And
yeah.
finally, right after Dawn had introduced me to, because during COVID, when she was in the program and we're 5 minutes away from each other. And she's like, you got to help me do the things and the breathing. And I was like, what are we doing? I can't pay attention. This takes too long. This is so hard. Why are you breathing so long? I'm done. It's 21 breaths. You're still counting. Like it was the whole thing. And so, but slowly, gently, I found my way and realized, but I had cannabis, and it made me sick. Like I just would from both ends.
Yeah.
Just bleh. And every time it was like respect the medicine. It was like respect the medicine. And then she showed me how Tantra could support me in being able to use her. And so that's what catapulted me for that. So thank you for saying that, because that is indicative. That's exactly how that was.
Yeah, and it was the Tantra that gave me the ability to be present with the wound as it
Yep.
arose
Yep.
and, do some like somatic, I don't want to say somatic
Yep.
experiencing because that's what it wasn't, but like feel where it was in my body, but then actually
Yep.
process through it because I've been cultivating that mindfulness outside,
Yes.
of the cannabis. I could bring that mindfulness to that experience and then feel around it. The obstacle, the block, the pain would arise, but there was space around it so that I could
Yeah.
be present with it. And then I could
Yeah.
start to be curious about it. Like, what are you trying to tell me? And I wasn't overwhelmed with the story because the story was always bad. It was always about how fucked up I was, right? So I could like, I had space around it so that I could like examine the story and like, and kind of decode it, right? Deconstruct it. And then it would poof, dissipate. And then
Yep.
it's like my
Just like that.
psyche is free of
Yes.
this. Yeah. Are you a therapist, coach, or sex educator looking for somatically based sexual healing methods to support your clients? Are you looking to become a certified sexologist and seeking a training that offers both an academic and an embodied approach to learning? Welcome to the IHS Holistic Sexology Certification, an accredited trauma-informed certification in holistic sexuality, somatic healing, embodiment, and pleasure-centered care. Early registration is open now until December 31st. Save $2,000 on your tuition when you apply now. Visit us at holisticsexologyinstitute.com to learn more.
Yeah. Many a night I would lay in bed in the dark with cannabis running through me, just like, and just,
Yes.
right. And now I can just sit there and be like, it's fine. This is a story. What are we telling ourselves? And to have the dialogue with the medicine and sit. And as you said, poof, then it just dissipates because there's space around it. But before I would contract completely, and then I would loop.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Get stuck
Right.
there.
And so I could never use cannabis and as an escapism or anything like that because it brought me to my wounds
Yeah. Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm like, wow, I'd love to be able to use it to escape because, like, actually, I don't take it to escape.
Walking in a corner like I'm not okay. I'm not okay.
Because it's not fun.
No, it wasn't fun.
Something that is coming back around to me in the relationship between, as we were speaking about ayahuasca and cannabis, if I may, is it also brings back in our animism.
Yes. Thank you.
And our own shamanism, right? And our own safety in our own knowing. And I think it's really important when anyone is considering any of these medicines to do their homework on who they're sitting with.
Yeah.
Like, what are their practices? What are their energetic clearing practices, right? What is their knowledge base? How are they living? What are they modeling? Not what are they telling you?
Yeah. How are they living?
How are they living? Right? Because the depth, I mean, we don't know how many years you're talking about Samaya practices. Like you can see that, right? I can feel that, right? That beauty of that connection of the grounding of the medicine of the earth, the practices of the tantras and the lineages that are there, and the experience of inside, outside, same, right? In a grounded, respectful, mutual living experience. Isn't that all of our God-given rights? And so as people are like trying to come back to this, right? I mean, I don't think people are outwardly trying to do harm.
No.
No, there's such a lost separation. Colonization has done a number on everyone.
And everything.
Right. And you got to really pay attention to the blinders with compassion, right? That's been part of my journey is to try to find more compassion in the places where
Mhm.
I've had to call things out that have been really difficult, right? But stay, really firm and like, I can't,
Mhm.
right? Because it's deeper than this and it's older than this, and staying in our humanity.
Mhm.
Cannabis is a great example of that,
Mhm.
right? Because the way that it's been capitalized, the way that it's put out, the way that people are looking at it, still under the lens of we're going to do this and this is going to be better,
Mhm.
right? The mentality that's been then put on so many people of this is going to be the be all end all. And I think ultimately one ceremony, one sitting with something, or even 10 is not going to be the be all end all.
Mhm.
Who you sit with, what community is really important, right? Is there a community that you're attached to? Are there people that you can reach out to and talk to? Are there places to process? Are there wisdom keepers that you can go to that you have direct access with? Like with you, we were able to come to you. We were able to go to Lama Tashi. I've been able to find courses with Kalu Rinpoche, right? Like I know who the wisdom keepers are in this particular lineage, right? In our ayahuasca training, I have my direct teacher, and then I have availability to speak to, the tribal members who are saying yes or no to the different aspects of what we can or cannot do. So you
Mhm.
want that to be present in what you're considering doing.
Mhm.
And there's such
Yeah,
respect for elders. Sorry, Elena, go on.
yeah. Thank you, Davy. Yeah, and that's beautiful, Dawn. And something that's coming up for me with you talking about animism and us all talking about the importance of finding lineage and appropriate people to introduce you to the medicine and how that can maybe be very difficult for folks to even source. I'm also kind of, and tell me if I'm right on this, but what's really coming up for me is also feeling into the individual's ability to source medicine from the environment as well. Not necessarily, I'm not talking about like psychedelic experiences like ayahuasca and things like that that need to be guided, but I'm also talking about an individual's ability to gain medicine from their environment as a place to start if they don't have like an immediate access to finding someone who can do these other plant medicines. Like just the importance of getting out into nature, connecting with your trees and your plants and fungi and water and, listening and feeling the life force of those beings and being present with it and starting to open
Yeah.
your body, your heart, your mind, your energy to yeah, I guess we all that we're talking about there,
Natural.
feeling flowing through you. Yeah.
And like the
Yeah.
foraging that you talk about, Elena, like Elena likes to go out in the woods and forage for plants and herbs and medicine and stuff. And that's like, to me, it's tapping into the roots of our humanity,
Singing.
which were rooted
Yeah.
in animism. Like that's the universal religion of planet Earth or universal spiritual tradition of planet Earth. All humans were animists. Like that's
Yeah.
just we were at a certain time. We were all animists because that's just the way. How could you not be? Like you're waking up in God's creation. How could you not be? Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, but being able in the modern day to be able to spend time foraging and foresting is a way of reconnecting. It sounds like reconnecting with our humanity.
So
And
Yeah.
understanding
And
that it's equally important,
yeah.
right? Like the
Thank you.
foraging that Elena is doing in her home, it's just around her property, is just as important, just as potent, just as deeply nourishing as if you have an ayahuasca experience
Yeah.
or cannabis. And I think that's something else that people are looking for these experiences and trying to like, oh, I did this thing or I did, bufo or I mean, there's so many kinds of medicine, and it's like you can you can get that from what you've got going on outside in your tree where you are. Like every place, every land place you live has medicines indigenous to that are beneficial, that are just as potent, just as powerful as this medicine. And it is wanting to be in relationship.
yeah.
It is
Yeah.
asking.
And
The
Yeah.
world is
It's talking
looking
to
and
you all
seeking
the
all the
time.
time. And are we paying attention? And we have people sort of um, higher, this is again with the colonization, putting hierarchical attachments to these medicines.
mhm.
There is no hierarchy. It is right, like the Hunikun who we study with, the Yamanawa, the Kofan, all these different tribes, they're tapping into the medicine that's available where they live.
Yeah.
We
Mm-hmm.
have medicines here that for where we live, it's and that is where everybody has, and one isn't any better than the other. It's just now that the world is so small, we have the availability, which again is why the integrity is so important, because if you're having an experience with Bufo or somebody who, again, what's the lineage?
Mm.
Who's trained to serve this medicine, these African medicines that you're going off, having these experiences with, some of them that can kill you if you don't know the
Contraindication,
contraindications. Thank you.
right? There's a whole lot. That's a whole
It's
other
a whole nother
point
thing.
of understanding and knowledge. Yeah.
And for the people who are seeking out these experiences, the other thing that you want to consider about the container holders are like how they're doing their intakes. Like,
Yeah.
everybody shouldn't be doing this, and everybody doesn't. And you all know this in your own medicine work and with your own institute. If people don't tell the truth
Yep.
about the medicines that they're on or about their experiences, and then they have this experience, it could be dangerous or deadly.
Yep.
And when you hear it, inevitably, when I hear about somebody dying from doing one of these things, they did not disclose, they were in a container that was not safe, or they didn't disclose medications or psychiatric treatments and things that they were engaged in or taking. And so there are contraindications. And so does the container holder do their due diligence in intakes? And with the people, are you sitting with and having a conversation, and are you tuning into your own guidance? Because sometimes you're sensing somebody's not being truthful, and you get to say no.
Yeah.
The people who are doing these containers, good. The people who are doing due diligence say, this is not appropriate for you at this time. This is not safe. This is not going to be okay.
I mean, what you are sharing, like, is in such stark contrast to the way it has been presented to me to consume ayahuasca, even just since I've been here in Costa Rica. So I've been invited twice, and it's been like the most like offhand, casual, like, oh, we're gonna drink medicine, Sunday afternoon at 3, come drink medicine with us. And it like and hearing what you have described, like when I met you, when you like last June when you described it, and then also like reading a little bit about it online, like the intention and profundity and sacredness and potency. Like, this is a shamanistic journey. It's not something you do at 3 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon with a bunch of you, like, oh, we're gonna chill out and listen to good tunes and drink ayahuasca. I'm horrified. Like that.
It's horrifying.
I'm
I'm
horrified
with you. And dietas, like there's diets.
There's diets. Like you prep for weeks, sometimes months, sometimes years. Every single plant, as you know, Elena, because plant goddess that you are, right? Has its own wisdom, has its own, and they're all used, right, through us. So you can dieta, you got to prep your body, right? No salts, it's a very
no fats, no fried foods. Like before you come, I don't know how, when we hear about people who will take a trip to Costa Rica and they're like, oh, I sat with ayahuasca there. And I'm like, how? When you didn't have at least, a week or two of just prepping
your body. Right.
And for that.
And people don't take that seriously. And, I have seen where when people don't necessarily take that seriously, they have a more difficult experience.
They have a bad,
and so there's so many factors, but personal accountability is one that I think is the biggest, right? Someone considering to do this, where are you coming from? Why are you looking to do this? Are you willing to go into alignment and do the dietas for 3, 7, 10, 15, 30, 60, 90 days, depending upon what plant you're sitting with, so that you are prepped and sitting with the intelligence in honor. And
so it's a relationship. Again, it's relationship with the wisdom of this plant. It's relationship with the wisdom of our environment, and it's relationship with the wisdom of the elders. And that's, again, something our culture does not respect or honor is elders. They want to put us out, to pasture, and you're not put them in an old folks retirement home or whatever. At 60, they want to put us in the retirement home at 60, right? Talk about like a loss of wisdom and again, a lack of respect for that intergenerational wisdom that is transmitted. Yeah. So it's a relationship.
I had the honor once of being in Brazil, and I didn't know any better. And there was this very, very, very looked aged man on the floor, like laying down. And actually, really, I was very confused and not quite sure. It turned out that he was one of the pages, and they carry him
Mm.
right? And they set him up and they have him there and he's holding and he's in, right, in the ceremony, in the honoring, like you get the opportunity to be with wisdom that you can never understand,
Yeah.
you know. And just to me, that's like, that's sitting in it's just a gift.
Yeah, it's like sitting
Honor.
at the feet,
It's sitting at the
the
feet
feet
of
of
the
the
wisdom
wisdom keepers.
holders.
And for us, it having a female led, I mean, one of the reasons why we have had aligned ourselves with this particular tribe, the Hunikun, is um, there are different chiefs, but the tribe that the particular one is female led.
Yeah.
And that felt really important
For
for
us.
for us. There's a lot of because even even within the tribes, the masculine, right, there can be hierarchical, and the men are here. And so to have a female paja and to have her sitting up there with her makeup on and her feathers and holding this container, and the men are in service to the container, but to her, but not in an egoic way, because they understand what she carries, because grandmother is grandmother. That's that ancient wisdom.
Mm.
And to have ayahuasca is both masculine and feminine, but to have that um, feminine wisdom presence in the medicine, because we're so masculine heavy everywhere, and in the medicine community also.
Yeah.
To have this, it's just like, what do you, yeah, what do you, I want to hear what you have to say, and I want to be a part of what you're doing, and I want to, and it gives the men to an opportunity to see what it is to be in service to the divine feminine in a way that, again, is removed of ego and all of that. It is just, this is the medicine, and this is what we're doing, and this is how
So,
it is, and the integrity of that.
so y'all are your lineage is Hunikun. Could you talk a little bit about what the different lineages are, if you know, and like what it means to have lineage in ayahuasca? What does that mean?
Go ahead.
So, okay.
Because I've got
All right, we'll play it back.
Okay.
Okay. So I can't say that it's my lineage
Yeah.
first. I want to be clear.
Okay.
I've had the opportunities to sit with Hunikun and to study with one of the female pages. And so they're called the wisdom holders, the people of the wisdom. They go 5,000 years back. Right. And so, having never been disconnected, having always had this as part of their relationship, having always been part of the land, right? That's so,
5,000 years. Wow.
5,000 years. The
History.
original peoples is
Yeah.
what they call themselves. There's Santo Daime is a lineage. And again, I have never sat in a Santo Daime, but that was actually the story that has been taught to me, is the enslaved man was a rubber tapper, and he was in the jungle, and the tribe came and he was served grandmother ayahuasca, and he had an epiphany to bring this forward. And because of the colonization, it became part of the Catholicism was coming in at this time. And so it became Santo Daime, which has more of it has both ayahuasca, and then it has a lot of the saints and the angels
and the African deities. So they'll call them the orishas and stuff. Yeah.
Interesting.
So in that actually too is Umban Daime. So Umban Daime is Umban Daime is a little separate from Santo Daime. So then Santo Daime has like the Catholicism and the right, and it's very male, right? It's very rigid ceremony. And then there's Umban Daime, which is the orishas. Right. And then it's all honoring of the orishas and the holding and the calling of those spirits and the working with those spirits.
Of those lineages.
The caboclos. Yeah. And then there's Shipibo. You've done I have not said
Shipibo. Again, very masculine heavy, very more structured. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. But what I was looking for and what I needed is why this particular female paja in this Hunikun line felt nourishing to me and supportive, and what best suited my need for what I was looking for in a container holder. So it just became a personal preference. I think, excuse me, to being called to a lineage, it's again, what are you looking for? What do you need? And so it was what I needed. And so while I've had beautiful experiences sitting with and studying with ayahuasqueros from the Shipibo, I found in that it was just a little more masculine and just a little more structured, and it didn't really meet some of the needs that I had, the deeper needs. So no, it just, there's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's just, again, for your own personal things. So
Yeah, the particular flavor of medicine.
Yeah.
That's most
yeah,
important.
and who's serving it and everything. Yeah, it was important for me.
And Yawanawa is the feminine line.
Mm.
So like so the Hunikun and the Yawanawa have relationships. So now there's more in that, in them coming forward together in the more masculine and feminine lines. And then each tribe, right? Like the Kofan
Colombia.
in Colombia, they do Yahe, right? And the brews are different. Right, the medicine themselves are different, right? Because they're sung, right? Like they're sung with their prayers, right? Even if you're working with Hape, they're sung with their prayers, with their chants. Just like in Tantra, each syllable has a resonance, and the way that you say it matters in what it's bringing forward. It's the same. The chanting, the wisdom is in the sound.
Yeah.
So it's in the chanting, and so each of the brews are different. And who's making the brew? I got lucky once and got an opportunity to be somewhere where I got to be for a week and pick the leaves and work with the vine and brew the medicine. It was it was ethereal and godly and magical, and how it's made, right? Because the intention of how it's made, right, is also then carried into what is being served. So it all matters.
It's the energy of it. Like that's the thing that's, again, like it's a transmission. It's energy. Again, the Western culture is like it ignores the energetic vibration that transmits through everything we do.
Everything. And it's an intentional transmission. And with the chants, it guides the medicine.
Yes.
So they know it's not just random chants. They take we're going to start out with this chant because you're going to drop into the medicine. And then this chant is going to take, and then they're watching what is happening with the people. And they're like, oh, okay, we might need to switch this up a little bit. And so they can do that with the music. It's live music.
It's live music.
They're playing instruments and singing, and their vocal cord, they're using all of themselves. They're bringing their full physical, spiritual, mind, body, spirit, completely in alignment to the administering of this medicine.
Like, why would you want to do this any other way? Like what you were describing is like wholeness.
We've been very
lucky. We've been very, but I feel like this is part of the weaving, because we've been for 25 years, and we've watched and realized how the Tantra and Grandmother has been calling us since we met. And now we have been able to go back and look 25 years ago and say, oh, look at where Grandmother showed up. Oh, look at where Tantra showed up. And now we can see we were able to track in real time the 25 years of how this medicine brought us back. Because, right, you always said, you're either called to it, like you've been a tantric and you're doing this work, it's because you've done it before. This Tantra, this lineage in particular. And so we're able to see that in the weaving of our relationship. And so these medicines has been walking us into this path for 25 years.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been beautiful. And so I think, so the luck it has been luck, but it's also been planned. Like she knew what she was doing to make sure that the people, we met the right people at the right time, we didn't have to go through a whole bunch of fuckery to get to people in integrity doing this work.
And there are good people doing this work. There are good people doing this work. I think the biggest takeaway for people is to do their homework. Check in, check in who you're speaking to. And also, are you ready? And what's there that's available for you if maybe not so much, right? Like what is your, if you're on pharmaceutical medications and this might not be the time for you, like look at your overall holistic wellness in the availability both for any plant medicine. For any plant medicine. I think that maybe gets a little shifted. I don't know, this is a generalization, because cannabis has come forward in such a capitalistic way that,
Yeah.
you know, we think that all of them can just play nicely with all of the things that are going on. And that's just not true.
No, it's even, I mean, especially with cannabis, like what Piper and I were describing, right? And like and my husband, Dr. Erickson, he like, you know, we love cannabis, and there's times he's like, I need to take a break because it's bringing up too much stuff, and I
Yeah.
need more space to process. So it's
Yeah.
again wisdom, right?
Yeah.
That's why like judgment around substance use is so like ineffective in my opinion, because it's so individual, right,
Yeah.
for each of us. And also the reason and motivation for taking it is so individual, but also it's like what's going on in our lives at the time that we're taking it. And sometimes it's appropriate and sometimes it's not. So what it boils down to, is it appropriate? Is it inappropriate? Is it appropriate right now? Or would it be appropriate tomorrow? Right. So,
And what are you
yeah.
experiencing? Like you said, any other medicine, I'm not going to go and take Vicodin if I don't
Yeah.
have an acute injury that doesn't require it, right? Or I'm not going to
Yeah.
go. I'm using my son just had ACL surgery, so that those are the medicines that are playing in my field right now. Um, but um, but but to your point of what's appropriate, it is. You don't take aspirin unless you need it, right?
Right.
You don't take something unless you actually need it. This is no different. And so there are, I can't, when's the last time you sat? Like, I can't, like, I haven't really been called to my own personal medicine work, like to sit in ceremony. I have been in service to the
Mhm.
medicine, but I feel like it's been a minute since I've actually
Received.
sat in ceremony as a participant and received, because I'm trying to move out of the country. Like I
Yeah.
don't need stuff popping off right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm very, oh, we did back in September, but
August, September.
September, end of September. But that had been like 6 months, and then we had an experience in September, and now here we are. But really, what I'm saying is that I know what's going on in my life, and so I'm careful not to introduce and have play around with medicines that could potentially bring up things that I don't have the capacity to navigate right now.
And can I make a connection point here between medicines and tantra's medicine,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Like I think the same thing has really played out in terms of like I hear a lot of people, right, where they want to get all the juicy bits, right, of what tantra has been westernized and perceived to be, all the tips and tricks and magic and things and the playfulness, and it so dilutes it.
Yeah.
No, it so dilutes it, and it I think in both of these aspects, right, to really look at the healing,
Yeah.
right, that is available through the understanding of the lineage and what's being carried, and that's the intention. And sometimes people have to go different routes before that becomes an awareness,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Whether that's from colonization or just ignorance or whatever it is,
Mhm.
right? Some people will go and do a 10-day tantra retreat and get, you know, opened in ways that maybe they weren't being ready for, right? I think the connection here with plant medicine and sexuality, because what we're looking at is creative life force energy.
Mhm.
Right. And I think that the real thing is to look at where you are and why you're going, and where the potentiality is that you could harm yourself.
Well, and that's why integrity in both the fields, plant medicine and tantra, is so important, because many people are coming for healing. Yes, some
Yeah.
people want to party and have fun, but the majority of people, the undercurrent is they are coming for healing. And
Yeah.
that's why it's so dangerous to
Yeah.
have leadership in those spaces that is either out of integrity and alignment, or is
Yeah.
actually there as predators, like we talked about in some of our episodes or some of our previous episodes. That's why it matters so much.
Yeah.
That's why the leadership matters so much,
Yeah.
because when you, as a vulnerable person, are entering into the space seeking healing, you deserve you deserve to ensure that the people holding that container and holding that space are not going to re-traumatize you. At the
Yeah.
very least, they're not going to re-traumatize you. At the very least, don't give people your money and your power, as somebody I knew once told me. Don't give people your money and your power. And so that's why it is so important and so imperative to research, like you guys are saying, like all the nuts and bolts of this. Like, what is the lineage? What is the intention? What is the ability of the space holder? What is the competency of the space holder? And who do they answer to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? You know,
Yeah.
because if shit goes sideways, it's like who do they answer to for resolution and rectification and accountability?
Yeah.
So yeah. So
You have been so
Yeah.
important in that and
Yeah.
integral. I have to say, Dawn and I talk about this all the time because of this training with your institute gave us, right, the availability to be able to track this in the medicine work.
Yeah.
Because and to see where, right, the integrity pieces and those types of things are like, and the decolonizing component, and being able to see, oh, that there it is right there. And as carriers of these medicines, and we're moving out here in the world talking to people and educating people, it cannot be stressed enough. You cannot meet the plants and be and have the healing that you want if you are unaware of the impact of it in its totality and colonization and all of it. And that came from you and our ability to have an access to it and to be able to identify.
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Because, and that's how we started asking questions. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really following and really paying attention.
Yeah.
And really speaking.
Yeah.
And your courage and your continued availability to educate and to speak and to come back for repair and to be who you are and to speak in integrity, at least in our small, I'll speak for me, in my small way, gives me courage to speak a little stronger, a little more, a little much in the same way. So thank you. Yeah.
Oh, y'all make me cry. Thank you.
It's the truth. It's the truth. It's the truth. It's because the Tantra has been, it has, for us, it is the weaving. Like I can't have,
There's
I
not
can't
one
do
without
one
the
without
other.
the other. It just, in my lived experience, they live interlocked and interwoven.
As they should. As they
Right.
should. This is
Right.
again, like it just keeps coming through. Like these are the
Yeah.
roots of our humanity, and this understanding of how to weave the technology and the intelligence of our environment and the plants around us, whether they be hallucinogenics or whether they just be medicine to help our, hurdy belly, our hurdy tummy, right?
Yes.
We've lost that wisdom through colonization, and it's time now for us to reclaim it. We have to, in
Yeah.
order to survive. And to thrive. Yeah, we have to.
Yeah.
So, where can folks learn more about each of you if they want to work with you? Obviously, not necessarily feeding, drinking ayahuasca, but you are tantrikas, and you are fucking wisdom carriers, man. So how can they find you?
They can't find me. They can find her. I haven't.
They're about to find you at my house in Costa Rica in a couple
They
of weeks.
can find me at Davies.
They'll
Oh
find
my
you
God.
Trust me to know you would be one of the few reasons why I would be on board with this.
Yeah.
You got 25 years. I'm like, oh,
We got to figure this out.
So yeah,
I'm figuring it out.
Me too. I'll be on your lanai too, or hers.
Come.
I do. I'm really referral based. I do a lot of work weaving tantric practice and the full spectrum of that as part of integration work and prep work for plant medicine work. Wow. That's really my sweet spot. Right. So, I have a website. I haven't actually been on our website because I've always been, I want to be respectful to the medicines and, so for integration work and for tantric work and for understanding how to prep for that work and be part of that work, I have a website, Dawn Rises Tantra.
Okay, dawnrisestantra.com. We'll put that link below because I'm guessing there's many people in our audience who very much would love to do a transformational journey like ayahuasca, but don't know where to start and don't know how to start right, particularly after listening to this episode. So the fact that you provide that support for people, because it's healing our humanity, and it's so necessary.
We do, because you can ask. We can ask questions
Right.
that can help people figure out
Yeah.
if this is right for them, and we can bring it in a way that has integrity, where people can really understand the importance of this, how serious it is,
Yeah.
And come to it in a way that is going to be supportive of their healing.
Yeah.
And we're not the only ones. I do the tantric lens does make this a different weaving. You know, from just the like psychological, you know, DSM, you know, EMDR, you know, all of the psychological, which is also colonized, right? And so, so it does lend to different conversation.
Yes.
For people to look inward, to ask themselves different questions.
Yeah.
You know, and there are many people doing good work out there.
And then the methodologies of the 5 elements to help prepare the energy body for this medicine, which you are certified to offer.
This.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, there's no,
there's no shortcutting that. There's no shortcutting that.
To be honest, that's where I really want to work with people in the medicine field in considering facilitation of different medicines in this, because what you don't find in a lot of these trainings is the decolonization piece and sexuality.
Yeah.
That's the piece that everyone's afraid of.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't touch that, right? When you go into medicine spaces, which is why we're so unique when we show up, because we're like, bring on the sex stuff. Like, what you got? And of course, like you said, you don't want to reharm, and people come in, a lot of sexual trauma and things come up in medicine ceremony. And if the facilitators themselves haven't done their own work, they can't hold the container for that. So what happens is they just say to people, yes, it's there. We know it's there, but
we don't have a way to integrate it. Yeah. Yeah. So it just stays there, right? Or is reinforced.
Or you're integrating in pieces, which I had to do, right, for 40 years, right? Like I started my journey with somatics at 17 years old. I'm 58 years old. This is not my first day at the rodeo with all the methodologies that are available, but it wasn't until really the elemental meditations that the availability in the energetic system, right? And I had done Reiki, but the balancing of your own body, the way your own elements learn what they need and redistribute and open in this magnificent teaching is unique to anything. And again, I'm no expert, but it's imperative if you're working in energetic work, and if you're working in nervous system, which I don't need to tell you. I'm just going to show
you telling our audience,
but and especially you have these large experiences, and it goes beyond your window of tolerance, and your mind is now trying to figure out what the story is, but your nervous system isn't able to come back into its own window of tolerance. So why wouldn't you prep that ahead of time? Why wouldn't you learn that, work with that, understand that? But it's not really taught from a other than from a whole holistic
holistic perspective. So, wow.
And I was in Peru. I just was sitting with the Huni Kun and had just my own just personal experience of how Tantra was supportive. And it was, my dad had just passed, and so it was my first ceremony post my father's passing. And I was just in it. And I just started ocean breathing. Like, it was just the only thing I had available. I just was ocean breathing. And then later I had other people in the circle saying, like, what were you doing? Because that was helpful. And they were like, oh, if Piper can breathe, then I can go ahead and breathe. And that has happened. So I started. And so now there are times in ceremony where I'll just ocean breathe out in the space. Like, I'm not even, just because I'm now aware that me just doing it is enough to help some people find their way back to themselves. And that's huge. I wasn't trying. I was just trying to mitigate my own, stuff. And to hear the feedback that it just being out there, which was just further showing me how these medicines can
These
actually work
medicines weave.
together.
Wow,
Yeah,
what a
support
beautiful
one
service.
another.
What a beautiful service. All right. Well, I'm cognizant of the fact that we've been online together for about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, how fun.
so to
Thank
give our listeners some time, a break, we will close out this episode. So, once again, thank you so much, Piper. Thank you so much, Dawn, for joining
you for
us.
coming up. And
To correct the record, set the record straight. It has been enriching and nourishing on so many levels. And thank you, audience, for once again tuning in and sticking with us through this episode. We hope you have been enriched and inspired. You can find out more about Dawn's work at Dawn Rises Tantra. As soon as Piper's website is up, we will be posting that link as
I'm
well.
moving to Costa Rica, so
Yeah, she's moving to
taking
Costa
me a
Rica
little
in
longer
2 weeks,
to get.
right? So, and then again, you can find out more about our work at holisticsexualtyinstitute.com. And we are still offering personal coaching in the Tibetan 5 element tantric practices. So if you want to experience the 5 elements from a lineage-based perspective and heal your relationship with the elemental energies, both in your body and in your environment, and learn to use the elements as a resource for healing and nourishment and empowerment, then we invite you to check out our Tantra healing programs at holisticsexualtyinstitute.com.
Do
Thank
it.
you so much, everybody. We will
Thank
see
you
you
guys.
again. Muchas gracias. Hasta luego.
Bye. Thank you.
You've been listening to Sex is Medicine, your #1 resource for holistic sex education.
Make sure you like and subscribe to Sex is Medicine on all your listening platforms and follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, where you can get your daily dose of Sex is Medicine videos and episode recaps. Also, make sure you register for your weekly dose of Sex is Medicine at holisticsexualtyinstitute.com and send us your questions, please, at questions@holisticsexualtyinstitute.com. Thank you so much for listening to Sex is Medicine.